So as I mentioned, it is critical to have your state licensure, and I spoke a bit about a limited or a training permit versus a full license. It is critical that you understand which state you want to practice in, because the rules and regulations vary state by state. And a good website is the State Medical Board site that you can go to look at the license requirements for the state that you might be interested in. The other thing to understand is that there are some license requirements that are posted on the website of states. However, there are some waivers that can be obtained, and you need to apply directly to the program of interest to find out exactly what the state license requirements are. So keep that at the back of your mind. For instance, New York has a requisition on their website saying that you need some postgraduate training before you get a learning permit, but that's not always the case, and it can be waived on a case-by-case basis. And I'll just run through this. Generally, your visa is a J1. However, there are some other visas that can be obtained depending on your situation and your need. And to close off the clinical fellowship track, it is critical that you apply in advance. You should know what specialty you want to do, and it is critical to coordinate with SACM in this particular instance, and with the program as early as possible so that we can plan for your arrival and for your requisite licenses. And of course, as everyone has mentioned, the keys are hard work, determination, and tenacity. You will usually be successful. There's another set of slides that I had put on for my research. If you could put those on, please. Okay. So this is where I want to focus on a bit, and this is the value of doing a medical research fellowship in the United States. I'm the director of the Thoracic Surgery Research Fellowship and the program director of general surgery. So, so I have a unique vision into both sides of the coin here, and what it takes to get admission into a competitive specialties such as general surgery in the United States. The goals of a research fellowship, as has been mentioned, are to make you a more competitive candidate, to help differentiate you from the other candidates, and of course, to teach you research skills. The time that you spend in research also is a valuable time where it helps you get acclimatized to the US system and to the nuances of healthcare in the US. So in my opinion, if done correctly, it is time well spent. The typical research fellowship is between 1 and 2 years. And as I said, it serves as an enhancement to the IMG when they're applying for medical residency in the US. It is the differentiating factor. It makes you stand out from the crowd. It does expose you to the American medical system and practices. And equally importantly, it provides you with an understanding of the science of research. It gives you publications, and these are tools that stay with you for the rest of your life. So these are valuable tools to have and valuable additives to your CV. And this is perhaps something that I want to emphasize, was also emphasized in the past, but it gives you a mentor in the United States. So it gives you that one-on-one communication with somebody who hopefully will be your mentor and guide you for the rest of your career. And it does, as I said, promote you and expose you to the social norms that are present in the US. So the goals again are for you to work collaboratively as part of a research team. Again, here in the US, we value teamwork and collaboration. You learn time management skills, and you learn excellent work habits. You learn how to present and speak at major meetings. And most research fellowships also have an opportunity for clinical observerships which are built into your fellowship, and these can help you perhaps with your CS examinations as well. It gives you that that one-on-one face time with patients. And again, it is key for me to emphasize again that it helps you with a mentor. So the requirements at our program, and again, I'll just run through these, and these are fairly similar, be it at Mount Sinai or Hopkins or Mayo. They're generally 1 or 2 year fellowships, and you can choose either a clinical or a basic science track depending on your interest and, of course, what you want to end up doing in your career. The more common visa is a J1. There are some other visas such as H's that can be obtained in exceptional situations. It's key that you look at this as a road to residency, so you must be a competitive candidate to start off with, and most program directors have some sort of selection criteria before they accept you into their research fellowship programs. They, like you, want you to succeed. So in our program, for instance, our minimum score is a 220 on step 1. We will probably ramp this up just based on the quality of applicants, and you obviously need to have an MD or an MBBS degree or equivalent. If you have some previous research experience, that's invaluable, and I would encourage you to start with your research while you're a medical student. You have tremendous opportunities here in Saudi Arabia, so take advantage of that. If I see you have done some research as a medical student, that really helps your cause. So start out early in your first or second year and start doing some basic research while you're over here. Don't wait to come to the US for that. And as part of our research activities, you become an integral part of the Department of Surgery. So you attend all the conferences, the teaching conferences, the M&Ms. You're treated equally like everyone else, so engage and participate. And I'll briefly just talk about some of the research activities that we have. So we do both the basic science and translational research and clinical research. We have opportunities for up to 2 fellows a year, and our work focuses on stem cells, tissue regeneration, 3D printing of airways, lung cancer, molecular biology, and then outcomes research. This is our lab and our department of research. We're located on the west side of Manhattan. And this is what our lab space looks like. Most labs would look about the same. We also do a significant amount of animal research, so translational research, and we have 2 animal operating rooms. And our Saudi graduates have been exceedingly successful and have received some national press for their work. So we've had the privilege to work with 4 Saudi and 4 SACM fellows, 3 of which have matched into successful programs, 1 into surgery, 1 into ER. One's going to go on to do a translational a year of research, and I'm currently working with 1 particular resident who needs to apply for surgery. So we have a track record of success. Right, and with that, I want to thank you, and we're open for questions.
All right, so we will have less than 60 minutes to answer your questions, some of it. And the guest, actually, all of us are gonna be available at SACM booth. So you are most welcome to visit, and if you have more questions, we will be sure to answer it. Let's start by the first question. Any question? Okay. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Rajesh Hamri from University of Khal. I have a question regarding neurology program. Now the neurology program is different from internal medicine program. How can I decide whether I'm going to neurology or internal medicine if I love both specialty? And how can I build up my future regarding the clinical electives to to occupy both specialities? Thank you.
Dr. Charlton, please.
Well, you have a similar plight as any other medical student or medical school graduate, U.S. or anywhere else in the world. I tell our applicants to follow their heart. In neurology, the reason why internal medicine is 12 months of the first of 4 years of training is because the overlap of internal medicine and neurology is marked. I think that you can get the best chance, if I may say in a biased way, of meeting both of your loves by taking the first year in internal medicine and the next 3 years in neurology. And then you'll be having the same conundrum when you decide what is my fellowship going to be, because there's 25 subspecialties and I love these 5 of them. So I'm biased because I'm a neurology program director. Internal medicine has an enormous amount of information that needs to be mastered. So if I had the chance to choose, although I love internal medicine, I would be intimidated and I would choose neurology.
Thank you. So, any more questions? Rob is there? Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Samira and my question is addressed to Dr. Richardson. Since you tackled the topic of letters of recommendation, as a program director, do you think it's stronger if I weave the privilege of seeing my letter of recommendation?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any more questions? Go ahead.
Yes, thanks for the delightful actually session. My question is, suppose if I'm a grad of 3 years ago or 4 years ago, you know, will that affect my application with you? The question is for you, sirs, as a directors. Thank you. Well, yeah, suppose if I'm an 09 graduates or
Dr. Young?
what is the difference between the fresh graduates and the, you know, the latecomers?
Well, the data would suggest that it does affect it. The slide that I showed demonstrated the further you are from graduation, the less likely you are to match. However, it very much depends on what you have done in the intervening time. So people that take a long time going through the ECFMG process or have been out of active clinical practice for a period of time, they pose a much more significant risk when being reintroduced into the rigors of a residency program. But if you've been working active in clinical medicine during that time, that might actually work to your advantage. So it very much depends on how you've occupied yourself between the date of graduation and the date of application.
So I will echo that. I think it is absolutely critical if you're going to take some time off after you graduate, that you fill that time with activity that you can justify. So just saying that you spent 4 years studying for your steps would be looked at negatively. You would have to have done some research or some postgraduate work in that interim, and that may actually play to your benefit. So it's what you have done in those 3 or 4 years that are going to be important.
You can say that most of our applicants who has been matched, they have 2 to 3 years, but you have justification, as all my colleagues say. If you have your justifications, what you are doing, even most of them now, the affiliated school, they know that you are preparing for Usmle. But I like the student that usually he makes some clinical attachment while he's doing Usmle, or he shadows some of the doctors, or he is working with Kaplan mentorship. Or so you have to, not only doing your exam, but still you are having some activities. Most of them, they have 2 to 3 years after graduation and they get matched, but they justify this period.
All right, Dr. Richardson, do you want to add something? Dr. Richardson?
Oh, no, I would say what Dr. Samir said, echo and ditto. I don't think it's a problem, something like 09, 10. We have applicants who have been out of medical school more than 10 years, and that really is I think, too long because of the pace of pace of discovery in medicine. But 09, 10, 11, those are okay. Again, I was going to say, depending on what you filled the time with.
And if I could add that I think, as Dr. Sagaf said, that the residents that matched this year did have a gap of 3 or more years, and that seems to be consistent in the case of the Saudi students. But again, you're going to look at what you did during that time, and certainly there's many of opportunities that seem to be very worthwhile and make you more competitive.
Okay, thank you. So, question there? Go ahead.
Yes, this is Dr. Faraz Ngumji. I'm starting my orthopedic residency as R1 in October, next October. So what will increase my chances in accepted in United States? Is it doing a residency program here or going to United States, do like 1 year or 2 years fellowship, research fellowship? So which is much more better for me to be accepted there? Thank you.
Who would like to volunteer? Dr. Bora?
So let me understand your situation. So you're in a residency right now?
No, I will start soon, October.
You will start a residency here in Saudi Arabia in October. Yeah. So it depends on what you want to do. If you want to pursue your residency over here and come to the US for a clinical fellowship, I think that's a very it's a very good way of training in the US, but at the fellowship level. However, if you want to do your residency in the US, then as has been said, you're going to need the basic prerequisites, which is excellent USMLE scores, some sort of US clinical experience perhaps, and for very competitive residencies, research that's perhaps best done at that same institution so that they get to know you better. So it's a combination. It depends on what you want to do and where you want to do it.
I can add, I can add something that, you know that we allow only 3 years, whatever, if you are Ministry of Higher Education or if you are coming from the school, the maximum scholarship is 3 years pre-residency. That means you finish your USMLE and finishing your research fellow. I have some applicants, they have been Ghassan Al-Zir and Muhammad Imam, they have been accepted. When they finish the 3 years, finish the research fellow, they come back here, they apply from Saudi Arabia, and they apply through the match, and they are working as a residency. They are working in their schools. So when you come back, you can, if you didn't get matched, it's not the end of the world. You can apply again, but be sure that you are working. We allow 2 years of research fellow now by our affiliation with different schools like Johns Hopkins and George Washington in the competitive specialty like ophthalmology or plastic surgery or neurosurgery.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have very common questions that come to me through email or through the website, but I have so many common questions. But one of the things that because someone mentioned about
we will go with one
gap.
We will go with one of them.
Okay, just one, yeah, just one. So I have, the students ask, they didn't do their USMLE, so they ask, now I graduated, should I take a time off a year, do my USMLEs, and then apply for residency, but there is going to be a 1 year gap in my CV that I'm just studying USMLE, either in Kaplan or here in Saudi Arabia. Some of the students who haven't graduated yet, they want to take a year off medical school and study for the USMLE and then resume their medical school. So what do you think?
Any volunteer?
The short answer that I mentioned is that your USMLE score is absolutely critical for success and entry into GME in the US. So if you feel like that's what you have to do to get an excellent score, then that's probably not bad advice. I wouldn't say prolong it indefinitely, but that score is critical, and getting it on the first try really, really helps.
And as I say, Nasser, when I talk, you have to concentrate on USMLE. That your key of success and your key to the application is step one. Do whatever you want. You want to freeze it. Everybody in the program director, they understand that Saudi medical graduate, their curriculum is not for USMLE production. You are not, so they understand that. And thank God that they understand when you have a gap of 1 year studying of USMLE, they understand it because it's not implemented in our curriculum. So now some of the school, they start to implement something like this. I hope so. But don't go to the exam. Don't do the MBME and be sure that you have high score. Don't go because they are pushing you to do the exam.
Yeah, I would say just briefly that the scenario as presented sounds logical, that the requirement is to do USMLE steps 1 and 2. If it requires the year off, that's not a long time.
Okay, so the last question.
Last question. Take the female, please.
Girls?
Any questions?
Hello, this is Reem. I'm 14 medical student at KSU. I am interested in the field of ENT, and I'm asking whether I should take USMLE Step 2 for application for residency program in the US, or it is okay to go for Step 1 only. Thank you.
Thanks. So, volunteer, Dr. Bora.
So to match, you need step 1 and step 2 for any residency. You need to be ECFMG certified before you start, which includes step 1 and step 2. You can start the process with just step 1, but by the time you have your interviews, you will need your step 2 score for the most part. I mean, you would certainly need it before you start residency. Eleanor, you want to chime in on that?
Sure, and keep in mind that the step 2 requires 2 components, and the clinical skills assessment is done only in the United States. So you can take step 1 and step 2 locally at the Prometric centers. They're offered computer-based here in Saudi, and then you would have to go to the United States to take the clinical skills component. And at that time, you could visit schools, you could look at programs and possibly interview and evaluate your options.
The other thing worth saying about that, ENT is an extremely competitive discipline in the United States as well, so a very, very strong step 2 score might help your cause in that regard, because every year there are top U.S. graduates who fail to match an ENT, so you really need stellar credentials to be competitive.
Before maybe a few years or many years that we have some competitive specialty that we say that, and if you came to me before 4 years for plastic surgery or ophthalmology, I said don't come to US. Now, because we have this success story with some school and some students in ophthalmology, plastic surgery, and inshallah neurosurgery, I can advise you to go to the school that offer us affiliation, like Ochsner or like George Washington or Johns Hopkins or Mayo Clinic, that we sign with them the affiliations. And maybe if you go to other schools and make you a competitive to these programs. So ENT, we don't have a history of residence in ENT. I don't have a history of residence in neurosurgery. I hope your students open this door for me as other students, they open the competitive specialties before.
So the good news is that you're talking about it now at the 4th year level, so that's good conversation. This is a time where you should be thinking about residency, and get in touch with Dr. Samar and Sakam and all of us on this panel for advice so that you can start planning for the next year or so. So that's the time to do it. I think that's the key message. Start as early as possible.
Faris has a question, so I cannot say no. So go ahead.
It have to be last questions, please.
Faris? You would come and ask it here, please.
Okay, it's not a question, actually, just a point that I would like to elaborate a little bit more. The young lady over there, a physician-to-be, is actually enthusiastic, and this is something good. What I want to mention is, please, 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 do not attempt to take step 1 exam unless you get exposed to some sort of clinical-based classes in your medical school. Although step 1 exam is basic science-based, you will get exposed during the exam and during preparation for the exam for some clinically related stuff. If you don't know what MI is, or PE is, or what a stroke is, you won't be able to answer even the basic science part of the question. So this is the one that I just would like to elaborate. Thank you.
Just quick things.
Okay, in 1 minute? Okay.
Just about the time, the free time that he mentioned about like 1 year gap. I would not recommend to have any gap postgraduate, because when you get your license, you have to justify every single like time that you took off and why. And this is going to go with the application, even for like residency and fellowship, just as recommendations.
Thank you, Dr. Wahab. Thank you so much for attending the panel. I'd like to thank our panelists here. And finally, special thank to Dr. Muhammad Anani. He's one of the organizers. He couldn't make it with us. So thank you, Muhammad. And if you have more questions, and if you'd like to meet our guests, please meet us at SACM section. Thank you.
Thank you for Asim. He is the one who is moderator, and he is our resident.
All right, so this will conclude our second workshop. Quick 3-minute break and we'll be right back.
يا جماعة بنروح للبوث حق ساكم اللي في المعرض، بيكونوا موجودين الضيوف ويجاوبون على أسئلة